Thanks for stopping in. I'm PJ Bracco, your host, and welcome to the Short Shack. Tonight, my special guest is Adam Cushman, a dear old friend of mine and fantastic filmmaker. We're going to talk about lots of stuff, including his new short film, Five Families. So sit back, relax, grab a drink, get your popcorn. Let's get it going.
Tux.
Yes, I am. Because I'm in the woods in a shack, and
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I mean, I gotta make it.
I'll tell you something. I'm absolutely positive that's what you're wearing last time I saw you.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. You haven't fucking changed your clothes since that festival, is what it looks like.
I've got this spray though that keeps it smelling fresh.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
I don't even have to take this shit off. It's
A little vinegar mix. It'll do you.
yeah, little spritz bottle. It's all good.
Yeah, you're good.
So, let me start this off the right way, then we'll get into some witty banter and have some fun. Adam Cushman is a longtime dear friend and fellow filmmaker. Adam, welcome to the Red Hook Film Short Shack.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, man.
How's everything going?
You know, I don't know. I don't know what the right answer to that is.
Yeah, neither do I. I have no idea.
It's, I mean, it's going fine. Can't really complain, you know.
Where are you right now?
Los Angeles, Hollywood.
Things are getting a little crazy over there right now, aren't they?
I mean, yeah, like that's what I mean. It's like it's crazy. The numbers are crazy, but it's just like everyone's just holed up, you know, doing their thing.
Yeah.
If the only thing you can do is write, and I hate to write, but I have to do it.
I'm right there with you, man. I can't. My biggest problem is I've got these ideas that happen while I'm listening to music and driving.
Same. It's meditative as fuck.
And it's just, there's nothing I can do about it. And Siri is the absolute worst thing to take dictation.
Yes.
Because when I get back later on and I look at what I thought I said that I was writing, that she wrote for me, it's just not even.
Oh, there's a good app, dude, called Bear.
What's it called?
Bear.
Bear. Okay.
Yeah, like the animal. It's pretty accurate.
I'll check that out.
Yeah.
You see, when I was younger, I used to just like you hit go and you write until it's done.
Right.
And then you go through all the redrafts and the rewrites and it was great because it was typewriter and you're rewriting while you're editing.
That's right. I had a similar approach. I don't do it anymore.
No.
To my own detriment, but I used to write the whole script or story, whatever it was, out freehand.
Yeah.
And then I'd type it up. In doing so, it was like a second draft.
Right. Exactly.
But I don't do that anymore. I just do it all on the computer.
Yeah. No. I mean, there are some. I mean, clearly there are great benefits of writing everything on the computer, but the original process of having to do it by hand and then typing it up, making your edits, your marks, your notes, and then retyping it. And all of a sudden, as you do that, it inspires you to go maybe a different direction.
Right.
And then the story evolves.
Yeah, I should go back to doing that.
Yeah, I keep saying that, and then I, do laundry or something.
Exactly. I don't like to write. That's the thing. Everyone's surprised because, I guess I write a lot, but I hate doing it. It's not that I hate doing it. I hate everything that leads up to doing it or to not doing it, because you'll find anything, like you're saying. I got to clean my oven.
Yeah.
And but once you're in the zone, it's different. It's committing to the zone, really.
Right, it is exactly, and blocking everything out.
Yeah. Sorry, there's a cat.
You little cat.
A gentleman named Pal. It's named after the basketball player.
That's awesome.
He's an old
Hey,
good guy.
That's beautiful. We met originally in 1998, the Blue Sky Film Festival.
That's right.
Back in Las Vegas, Nevada.
That was a hell of a trip.
Oh my God. I remember sitting next to you in that huge theater behind the penny slots.
Yep.
Which is about 5 seconds. And watching your short, which I've been racking my brains. I remember loving the short you did, but I can't remember. Do you remember what film it was that you had in that festival? I mean, I'm
Of
sure.
course, no one will ever see it, ever, because I've vaulted it for eternity.
Powering the internet.
Yeah, it was. How do you say it?
Was it a little mob film?
No. So it was tail end of film school.
Okay.
Tail end of film school, like I did my thesis, and then I still had access to the gear because I still had a class, like an English lit class to finish. So I still had access to the cameras because of it. So I would just keep renting stuff out. And, at the time, the only thing I'm paying for really is the film stock and the processing.
Right.
Which, it's on 16, so it's a little less at the time. It's prohibitive now, I think. And so I did another short, and then I decided to shoot one on 35, which is the one you saw.
Okay.
Which was, oh God, it was called 6 Feet Under. Before there was a 6 Feet Under.
Yes.
I had a 6 Feet Under. And it was just dreck. It was 3 guys just like talking about death the whole time. And then it's like the guy's lost his sister and they're talking about death. Then he finds out his wife and kid got in a crash and he comes out and he shoots everybody. All in like 9 minutes.
A good family film.
Happy stuff. It was just like existential vomit. Really.
What though?
Oh, thanks.
You got to see it in a big movie theater.
Yeah, that was a fun experience. That was my first festival ever.
It was.
Yeah.
That theater was huge.
Yeah. I had a good time there. I mean, dude, I think at that first festival, I met you. I met a bunch of people who I still talk to.
Yeah.
Which I can't say about a lot of the other festivals I went to later in life.
I mean, there have been a couple of festivals over the years where I've made good friends and I've kept in touch with them over the years.
Yeah.
And it's great. I mean, it's nice when that happens.
Really is.
Yeah. Because we've known each other since '98.
That's crazy, man.
Nuts.
When you say it like that, that's 22 years.
Yeah, that's fucked up. I'm only 27, so we were really young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really young. We were prodigies.
Exactly.
More so you. Well, you won that fucking festival. You won the whole thing.
Oh God, that was crazy. Yeah, it was that was a really just bizarre time. It was really exciting, but it was just bizarre. Like I didn't know which way to go.
You didn't have you made a movie, you starred in the movie, you directed it, and you won the whole festival.
Yeah, it was crazy. And they wouldn't catch
and well deserved.
It was good.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I got to rewatch The Court, and yeah, that movie holds up big time.
Thank you very
You're
much.
Welcome.
Speaking of watching something again and holding up, I happened to watch Dying for a Donut the other night. But wait, but here's the funny part. It's who's in that, and you've got our old buddy Jason Gladstone.
Yes.
And so I forgot that Saul Stein is in that.
Great Saul Stein.
Yeah. Yep. I was hanging out with Saul Stein. Was it last summer, a couple summers ago, over at a buddy?
Oh, you know Saul? I didn't know that.
Yeah, we're acquaintances. I mean, we know each other. We know each other through a mutual friend. And I'm rewatching this the other night. I'm like, oh my God, that's Saul.
Yeah. He was great, man. Like he was. Awesome. I think Saul was the first like established actor that I directed. Yeah, he was. Yeah, and it was. We had anybody who don't know who Saul Stein is, he was in a movie in 1985 called Beer, which is a cult classic with David Alan Grier and William Russ, Loretta Swit, Rip Torn. Really funny movie, satire that holds up today very well. And then I saw him in a movie that influenced me and a shit ton of directors called Laws of Gravity in '92. And that's when I first noticed Saul. I was like, this guy's got something. And then I saw him in New Jersey Drive as the villain cop, which was perfect.
He's all
And
in.
I started, like when you start writing scripts for like, just as a screenwriter, when you start your craft, you sometimes are writing for actors. I still do that.
Yeah.
But I was writing parts for Saul Stein, in like film school. And I came out to LA in 2000.
Okay.
And I was hanging at a place called Three of Clubs in Santa Monica Boulevard. And it's like a music venue and a bar. And Saul was working the door.
Wow.
Just as a, side gig.
Yeah.
And we met, and he was like, I told him this was very, very much an admirer of his work. And we exchanged numbers and became really good friends. Been friends for 20 years.
That's great.
Yeah. So that's how I cast him.
Understand something. Your blood. Whatever I have is yours. You don't owe me anything. Here.
What is it?
Open it up. The Treasury bonds. I've been putting whatever I can into them since 1994. Right now, they're worth around $66,000.
You're serious?
I don't want you leaving school again. Your mother was very dear to your grandmother and I. We love you brothers. But with you, it's different.
Dude, that's some awesome stuff.
Oh, thanks, brother.
Yeah. I want to talk to you a little bit about this.
All right.
Because you got a lot of stuff going on. Want to talk to you about your color palette. How do you go about, you've got the subject, you've got your story. When I walk into this whole piece, it's just silver,
Mm-hmm.
And there's something about that. It gives me a very strange feeling.
Yeah.
A little uneasy. And there's a theme throughout from beginning to end. And so I want to talk to you about that. How did you?
It was, so I've worked with the cinematographer Colton Davey on a number of projects. He shot both of my features.
Okay.
And this short and a couple other shorts. So he and I have a really close working relationship, and we kind of understand each other's minds very well. And so we think and we understand the same references largely. So in planning it, we looked at certain films. We always look at the films that are not always necessarily the antecedents of what we're doing, but sometimes, but also, just films that might be loosely connected, like this one I want to look at for costume, this one I want to look at for geography, whatever else. And specifically in this one, we looked at Animal Kingdom.
Really?
And a movie called The Snowtown Murders, both Australian movies. Okay. Hugely influential. And then just started talking about color. Now, I wanted it to be more on the cooler side.
Okay.
Visual. But then, I also wanted costume to work with art and stay, sort of merged on the palette front. But at the same time, offer their own interpretation, but just faithful to what we had come up with. And then with I think the uneasiness a lot of the time comes through in the reds, because what's going on with the reds is we basically got lucky, and I didn't plan this. There were certain reds that I wanted to be there, like in Seymour's clothing.
Yes.
Things like that too.
It's a rich burgundy-ish.
Yeah. Exactly, to add tension. But it started to come out just on its own. Like there's rose bushes, there's a car outside the window when Frank and Richie are talking, when Richie has his emotional moment.
Right.
He talks to his brothers, he wants to kill somebody. There's a red car out there. And there are a bunch of instances of the red just showing up at the right moment. So I've never had that sort of luck.
Okay.
And it reminded me a lot of a movie that does that same technique, which is Love Story. I don't know if you ever saw Love Story.
No, I haven't.
It's a great film, man. It's with Ryan O'Neal and Ali McGraw, 1970.
Nice.
And in it, it uses red in a similar way, just in reverse. It starts out very red and floral, but as she gets ill and the relationship falls apart, the red starts to disappear.
Wow.
And it's really well done. But I like to say that I consciously wanted to do that, but then it ended up happening all on its own in a big way. But the good directors plan that shit.
That's beautiful, man. Because colors. We know color is just a very important aspect of all of it.
Yeah.
But how you use that, it's the specific, like, who wears what, when, and how, and why, can really, imply what it is you're trying to have the audience feel.
Right. And subtext.
Right, exactly. Then there's a lot of subtext in that one. There's a lot going on underneath that. It's a very deep piece.
Oh, thanks, man.
There's one of my favorite shots is when the grandfather, Barry Primus's character, is sitting in the car, and he's looking at his grandson across the street.
Yeah.
And there's just this shot of him behind the window. You got the trees reflecting in the window, and it just goes so deep into his soul.
Yeah.
You can see that he's looking at it. There's a lot going on over there. He's looking at his grandson, and something's gonna burst. You just feel it kind of building up, and then there's that conversation in the car, which is just that moment.
Yeah. It's working with Barry. Really
That's what we're talking about.
One of I haven't worked like this at least on a short. No, not even a feature, like with this amount of prep, because Barry and I prepped that character for about 9 months before we shot.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I'd done a bunch of shorts, and they weren't as formalized as this one. They were more, there was a feeling of exhilaration that I was trying to go for more than anything. But what's super important, this about shorts, is that it's the same shit as writing a novel. It's the same shit as making a feature. You have to know everything.
Yeah.
And you're forced to squeeze that in largely in a subtextual way,
right,
in a very short amount of time. And so having 9 months to work on the character, understand him from the beginning until now, knowing that 98% of it isn't even going to get in, but that 2% that does get in is so worth this journey.
Sure.
It was the first time I'd done that on a short, and it's the last time. I'll never do it another way.
That's awesome.
Can't imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that in terms of, you were saying, you've got this confined. It's a small amount of time. It's a confined space to fit the story in, and you're dealing with the subtext. And there are those moments. How long is the moment? Right. In this small world, that gets that emotion across and brings the story to the next step. And there's no way of telling what it's going to be until it actually happens, and then everything else can build around that.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, though, the one thing that really sucked me in with that whole piece was just this tension. There was just this one long moment of uncertainty that kept bouncing back and forth with everybody, and then all of a sudden, now what?
Yeah.
That ending hits, and it's just, okay, is he marked?
He's done.
Yeah. So my question for you, I want to know what happens next. Are you looking at making this something bigger than what this is now? Or
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I wrote the feature.
You did?
Oh, it's done.
Well, that's awesome.
It's done as much as it's done. But it's there. I think I got it. I think I'll keep working on it before I shoot it. But no, I wanted to shoot in March, and then this shit happened.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't see, because I want to still use Barry and David Proval
Right.
as those characters.
What a great pair.
And you're working with guys, like that's the other thing. But working with those two is that it's a real 50-year relationship between them.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Which gets in. It's such a great way to direct. I mean, you don't have to do anything. That's the thing. Like, you know, the only thing you got to do with those guys, I mean, you got to talk to them, you got to answer their questions, you got to know that their characters, know your shit. But assuming everyone has done their work,
right,
and mainly me, you just got to let them do their thing. You got to let them get there. And those guys have been acting a certain way for a very long time,
right,
and they've been allowed to get there.
Yeah,
you know, and I'll tell you, it was tricky because this was the first time I had shot on 35 millimeter in a long time. And we were fortunate enough to be able to do so.
Right.
But it reminds you how spoiled you are.
Oh, yeah.
By digital. I mean, my God, ratios?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I teach my class, but I tell the kids, I'm like, look, we're going old school. I don't care if it's digital or not. But you guys have a 3-to-1 shooting ratio.
Yeah, good for you. It's good.
That's
it's good discipline to have.
And don't delete, because I know if you deleted.
Right. That's right. That's a good point. But yeah, like it's fine, but like it was tricky. Like there were moments, like I said, when like with those two, where like, you know, we're take 3 on the master shot. You know, and the crew's like, yeah, everyone like just come to Jesus that we're gonna have to buy more film. Because you don't want to let the actors know that. You don't want to make the actors think that you're running. You know,
you don't want that stress to impede upon what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So, why did you make the jump back?
It's not. I consider it a jump forward. I mean, I'd prefer to shoot on film all the time.
Yeah.
I kind of just embraced. Probably with my first feature, I just embraced that. Okay. At least the way my DP shoots, it looks as close to film as you can get on the Alexa or anything else. And you just sort of like
restraint.
Yeah.
Which is another film that is just completely and totally it makes me very, very uneasy the entire time. It makes me very, very uncomfortable.
I mean, that was the idea.
Yeah. I mean, and not to take away from what we're talking about, but I just, the whole time I wanted to reach to the screen and smack the guy in the face over and over again. I'm like, what are you doing?
That's the correct response. Yeah.
And you know from the first, like, is it 30 seconds or a minute within you're in the movie, you know you've got a problem here. I mean, what? You know there's an issue here, and he doesn't even know it because he's blind to everything. And it just keeps unraveling. But at the same time, it's unraveling by strangling me.
Yes. It's just, look, I can't tell you what I went through, even though I shot that independently and I shot it knowing that I was going to do it my way on a shoestring.
Okay.
I still, even like everyone, like producers, like we were flirting with the financier for a bit, that, you know, it didn't pan out and I didn't want it to, but everyone was trying to, like, you know, add the formula back in.
Right.
And by the formula, I don't even know what I mean. I mean, I think there are several. There's like the Save the Cat thing. There's the Sid Field thing, whatever it is. And I mean, in a way, I was like trying to do, it was like Save the Cat in reverse in a way. Like for a while, we were calling it Kill the Dog.
Right.
And, you know,
you know about the new one, right?
No, I'm talking about Restraint.
Is it the new breakdown? I think it's Up.
Oh, I don't know.
There's another one to add to Save the Cat, another structure for writing.
Oh, I don't know about that. Maybe. I was kidding. I called it Kill the Dog just because it was like the antithesis of what that book was.
No, there's another whole structure model, which is like insane.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm interested to see that.
But anyway,
this shit is, I'm not bagging on it. It's a good thing to know.
Oh, sure.
You know, it's just not everything. And so there was a lot of people trying to impose certain, you know, familiar structures on it. And
Right.
I didn't want to do that, man. I don't even think of her as an anti-hero. I mean, I guess she is technically, but I just wanted to do it truthfully and have it completely based on character.
Okay.
You know, which is, and like your read on him is exactly right.
Yeah.
Entirely oblivious narcissist, you know, who just goes through the entire movie with his head up his ass. And I know a lot of people like that.
Yeah. It's just disturbing.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a lot. He was an easy character to write for two reasons. I knew that guy. Like, everyone knows that guy.
Yeah, everyone knows that.
And writing for Dan Ashbrook, who plays Jeff in the movie, it's such a thrill to write when you know the actor,
Yeah.
and you know how they talk.
Yep.
And you can put that, I mean, because like even like when Dana came to set, he's like, dude, it's like this is written for me to, like, it was. I mean, not initially, but when he came on,
Right.
you know, you do a pass for whatever actor is playing it and get those intricacies, you know, better tuned.
It's wild stuff, man.
Yeah.
And the one thing one of the things I noticed with that is also you hit the deep burgundies again.
Yeah.
Now that
it's because they're romantic colors to me.
I mean, it's luxurious, it's romantic, it's powerful.
Yeah.
In that sense, but in this piece now I'm feeling this claustrophobia because
In Restraint?
It's like a, you know, like a good Bordeaux. It's just it's
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
If that analogy works at all.
No, that works for me. I don't think it'll work for everyone else, but it works for me.
Okay, good. now I need to go find myself a good Bordeaux. I haven't had one in a long time.
Yeah. I haven't had a drink since March. It's crazy.
No, I've been every now and then I've got a big what do you call, old whiskey barrel of mint, fresh mint and rosemary, and every now and then I make a little mojito.
Nice.
Yeah,
Mojitos are
it's,
amazing.
you know, I get halfway through, I fall asleep, it's over.
You know, I got it while we're on the subject of Restraint, man. I have to credit you because, you know, you were a big influence for me. Like, I don't know if you remember this conversation, but it was like 6 months before I shot it. You know, I called you, and I'd been wavering. You know, I kept going back, as we often do, to like, fuck, I need to get some money. And I called you for advice, and you were just like, no,
Just fuck it.
no, just go do it.
Yeah.
Shut up, go do
I
it.
remember that conversation.
You're absolutely right. And
I think
I thank you for that, sir.
You're very well. Thank you, and you're very welcome. I mean, I think over the years, you and I have we've called each other at those moments where we needed someone to just say, "What are you doing? Just fucking do it."
Just do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
One day we're going to collaborate on something, man.
Oh, there's no question about that. We definitely need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That is from
funny.
Thank you. That was fun to do. That was from an Eric Bogosian play.
Really?
Called Scenes from the New World.
Okay.
And the reason it exists is that my scene partner in that, who's Hermie Castillo, who's just killing it right now. He books every commercial in town.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's killing it. And Hermie and I really like working together. And we're part of Jack Walter's acting workshop, which we can talk about Jack. I'd love to give him a plug. But we did that scene for him, and he gives that scene a lot, and I've seen it done a lot of ways. And that was just easy because, like, Hermie can be a pretentious actor, no problem. I can be a douchebag producer, no problem. And not that you should perceive your characters that way, but it was a lot of fun to do. And then we're just like, we did it as a scene for Jack, and they're like, fuck it, man, let's film this thing. Like, why not? Just to do it. I had no acting real or anything really filmed. I've just been doing stage work and scenes.
Really?
Yeah. So I think that's the only thing with me in it that's out there. There could be something else, but I don't
Last
think
time we hung out over at the Garden State Film Festival, you were telling me about that you had been getting into acting and stuff, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
And then I said that there's that piece, and yeah, right on target, man. That was great.
so. Oh, thanks, man.
It was good to see you doing. It was good to see you on the other side of the camera.
I want to do more, man. Like I have a weird relationship to it, but you know, I came very late in life. I started as an actor when I was like 5, did a lot of theater, was always in drama clubs, class. And around the time I was 17, 18, when I decided 1,000,000% I want to just direct now and write, I used that as an excuse to retreat inward. And because, like life was painful and shit like that, and you hide, and which is terrible for an actor. And so I just, said, I'm behind the camera guy. But there was something in me that was lingering to get out. And a friend of mine named Omar Salazar, he's a skateboarder. If you remember Restraint, he played the 7-Eleven, the gas station attendant.
Okay, yeah.
And Omar was a student at Jack's. He's a fucking terrific actor, this guy. And he's like, dude, you got to come meet Jack Walser. I'm like, I don't want to be an actor. He's like, it does not matter. He's like, you will learn so much about directing just by being there. And right. Jack will love you, and you're going to love him. And I waited a bit, and then I went, and I was completely hooked. I mean, I've gone to Paris 3 times to study with him.
Really?
Comes here, I study with. I do it 2 months at a time. I love it, man. I love doing the work because I saw it, man, the first time, and this is a very talented group of actors that work with him, both on the French side and on the American side, because he teaches in both places. And I remember seeing some of this work and seeing the emotion that these actors were bringing just, at the drop of a hat in the improvs. And I'm just like, there's no fucking way I'm ever going to be able to do that. No way. And 6 months later, man, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it like in ways I never thought I'd even be able to do it alone, let alone in front of people.
Yeah. You've got to lose your inhibitions and not think about it. And
you got to stay relaxed.
Yeah, exactly. Which is not an easy thing to do.
I think Nicholson says relaxation is like 85% of all of acting.
All of it, yeah. I mean, I still do my my physical stretches and warm-ups every single day.
Do you really?
Yeah. I never stop doing it. Just I mean, there's the voice and speech stuff. You got to keep your instrument in tune. Yeah. I'm a musician as well, so I know that I got to keep it. If there's a string that's not in tune, it's not going to sound good. And there are days here and there where I just can't get to it because something else happens, but then I'll get to it later on. But it's important to just kind of let everything relax.
Yeah.
As an actor, one of the things we need to do is experience the moment. You're listening, you're being affected.
All right.
Your reaction doesn't happen right away because it doesn't happen that way in life. I saw an interview a while ago with Robert De Niro, and he was discussing it. And he was saying, if I get a phone call right now and about something horrible that happened, I wouldn't lose it and go nuts right away. I would take it in and just absorb all that stuff, and then the reaction comes out, and okay, now what happens next? How do I react to that?
He's very forthright about, the fact that he, at any given time that he's acting, is thinking about 8 different things.
Yeah.
And he also starts entirely with the look. That's how he gets the character, is he doesn't do anything until he has the look down. Once he has the look, then he starts to do the real work.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
I was talking to Xander Berkeley about that. We were walking in Asbury back when you were showing The Maestro, which is a fantastic film, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
And we were talking about his character in The Walking Dead. And, how you approach the character, how you approach the scenes. And one of the things he was telling me is that, well, you've got this comic book story and the character's there. And he was saying about how he would mimic the pose the character had in that one cell. And all of a sudden, when you start to get that physical vibe and that look down, like, how is he positioned in that moment? Everything just kind of feeds into the next thing, and then that moment starts to evolve out of a character that's just a cartoon on a page.
That's right, and that's what working with Xander is like. It's a real treat because they fucking call him a character actor. He's not a character actor.
No.
At all.
No.
I mean, if anything, if you see like what he did in the Maestro, I mean, he's like, think what you will about the movie, he's the real deal in that.
Yeah.
He really. I love what he did, but he's the same way. I mean, he gets the look. Like we started with like it was the costuming, and then he came to me with the voices, and he did his research. He's like, he came over and he's like, I've got 3 Italian accents to run by you.
Wow.
And when he did the one that he did in the movie, immediately was like, that's it. He's like, that's what I was hoping you would say. I'm like, yeah, it's perfect. And it's actually Florentine. I mean, from all accounts, I mean, that's what I hear is he got it.
Wow.
And then, it was really the only other decision we had to make about his look was the beard, because you were mentioning Walking Dead, and he had by contract to keep the beard.
Beard, right.
Tedesco didn't have a beard.
Okay.
However, within like 22 seconds, Xander found an image of Tedesco with a beard.
There you go.
I thought I'd seen everything. And I was like, okay.
Thank God for that.
Yeah. And the main thing was like, I was concerned about it. I mean, not that your movies, even if they're biopic-ish, have to entirely mirror reality. There's no way to mirror reality like that. But I was worried about it. I ended up talking to Tedesco's granddaughter about it.
Okay.
And basically got her permission. I'm like, can you guys live with the beard? She's like, yeah, I think he had like something when he was. I'm like, perfect.
That'll work. That's beautiful, man. Yeah, that's what a beautiful piece. I just
Thanks, man.
You got to work with some really good people, and the late John Polito was one of my favorites.
Yeah, that was maybe the most fun I've ever had with an actor.
Yeah.
I wish you could have met him, man. He was so funny, like so fucking funny. He from the moment he shows up, he's got everyone rolling.
That's
but
great.
At the same time, he's working. He doesn't stop. Like,
right.
You'll be doing the scene, and then he'll catch some mistake. Like, okay, I'm gonna stop, Mr. Director, sir, and I'm gonna go back to 3, 2, 1, and go. And you're just like, okay. He was hilarious, man.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, he's
wonderful.
I haven't seen anything that he's ever done that I didn't like.
Me either.
Yeah, no. So what's happening with that film these days?
It's out. I mean, Maestro's on Prime.
Yeah.
It's free to watch. Believe it's out. I think it's pretty much worldwide at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
It had a really nice. It did better than I thought it was going to do for a little film. To be honest with you, I mean, I always, assume the worst, but
yeah, well,
this had a really nice reception. I think the festival traction helped a lot because we played a bunch and won a bunch, and just people really loved it, and especially like the plus 50 plus crowd.
Okay, yeah.
Really responded to it, and musicians really responded to it, either lifelong or having once dabbled in music, whatever.
Right.
Which meant a lot to me because I'm, I like music. I'm not a musician really. And I wanted to make sure I did it justice and that it was going to be, accepted in musical circles especially because of who Tedesco was. I mean, and the towering musical figure that he is.
Sure. That's a big role for Xander. That's a huge role to take on to fill those shoes. And I thought he did it masterfully.
I did too. He did a lot of work, man. He did a lot of work, and with very little preparation too. Both of those guys, Leo and Xander, like they were doing piano lessons. They got coached. They did their work, man.
Yeah, it was a beautiful dynamic.
Yeah.
And from that, you also developed another short.
It's funny. Yeah. Thanks for asking about that. It was,
Fine. It's not online anymore, is it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't,
No.
It might not, he needs to release that. Actually, I need to talk to David about that. Yeah. So there was a scene in the Maestro toward the end where the main character, Jerry, he gets a job performing with a jazz quartet at a bar.
Yeah.
And he's playing piano. And then in the script, it was pretty nondescript. It was just like Jerry plays at a bar. And that's it. I was like, okay, what are we doing? Because I want to be in 1945, man.
Sure.
I want to, and I'm just like, what? So start going back, and I'm like, okay, what if we? Then it hit me. I remembered this piece by the poet Lawrence Ferlinghetti,
Okay.
beat poet. You know who that is?
No.
He's one of the leading figures in the beat generation. Still alive. He owns City Light Bookstore in San Francisco. Still alive. 100, I think 100 or 101. And
City Lights a long time ago.
And we brought in an actor named Christopher Redman,
Okay.
who everyone should look up and see all of his work because he's tremendous. And I talked to Chris, and Chris is like, I write poetry, and I've done some, performance pieces. I'm like, well, why don't you write the poem? Why don't you just do any poem you want to do? Like the only real mandate is that I'm going to have you stop, and I'm going to have the musicians play interstitially.
Okay.
And then you'll start doing the poem again. And it was very much like a Ferlinghetti piece that did that, called Autobiography. And
Okay.
Chris just ran with it. And when we shot, it was, like, for what was going to appear in the feature, it was going to be such a small amount, but Chris did the whole performance. And I was like, David and I were just like, we gotta use this. So we ended up making a short called The Poet, which was so collaborative, man. I mean, it was the most collaborative thing ever, because like Chris obviously wrote the poem and did the performance piece. It was David's idea to expand this into a short. I had directed it and sort of conceived of it for the sake of the feature. And then the editor, who's this sicko named Ben Stringfellow, came in and just not only created a piece, but created a separate narrative using all the reaction shots of the actors in the film, who are all in the short.
Okay.
And I saw it, and I was like, this is like what Weezer did with that Happy Days video in the 90s with Spike Jones. Spike Jones directed. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Exactly like that. And I was like, this is genius. This is what I want to do, man. This level of collaboration is what it's all about. And the short came out, did a bunch of fests, and
The festival circuit. It made
a lot of musical festivals, things like that.
Yeah. It's a beautiful. I mean, it's just. I remember it being a really fun, funky little piece. It brought me back to when I was younger, and just being in that environment, doing like late night underground poetry reading from musicians, and just let it all loose.
I love that stuff. I didn't get exposed to that enough when I was younger, so I try to fulfill myself with it in my art if I can.
Have you ever been to City Lights?
Oh yeah.
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 Wild bookstore.
Yeah, you have to spend like 2 hours there.
What is your next step over here outside of this insane quarantining?
I want to do 5 Families feature, but I still think we're looking at January, February.
Yeah.
To get that going. So in the meantime, I got time to work on it a little bit more. Working on
we're gonna do like a quarantine film set.
There are ways to do that. I just worry that it's gonna, in years to come, feel dated for that reason. Like people are gonna be like, oh, that was one of those COVID shoots. That's why we're in wine shop all the time.
Everything happened in the same room, so far away where no one was, and
Why is the main character wearing a mask if they're alone? Oh, okay. I don't know. So I can wait. I'm patient, but it's good, man. It just gives you time to develop, and that's good. But I'm working on another script right now. It's actually related to Charles Manson.
Really?
It's a fictionalized thing I'm doing. Yeah, I got bit by the bug when I saw Quentin's film.
Which one?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay.
And I knew nothing about that. I really knew nothing about those events, other than the very, very basics. Was never interested.
Okay.
And like a lot of people, after seeing that movie, I became interested and I started to read about it. And once you allow yourself to go down that hole, it can be endless. I mean, it's so much. And I was like, why am I so interested in this? Jesus, why? Okay, I'm reading another book now. And just kind of coagulated into this story that I realized, okay, this is the culmination of, me being down this rabbit hole is to write this. And so it's actually one of the most cohesive narratives structurally that I've done that just was cohesive out of the gate.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Well,
thanks for having me on, man.
Hey, thank you. It's an honor to have you on. You're a good friend, and we got to do some work in the future together.
Dude, I'd love to. And just have me on again, man. It gives me a chance to talk to you.
Well, I will, absolutely. We got to do this more often. I didn't even cover like a section of the 15 pages I have written out.
Oh, we could go for hours.
I know we can.
We have.
Yes. I got to wrap this up. I got to go cook some dinner.
Good, brother. Thanks for having me on, man.
Thanks for being on, and stay safe, and
You
keep
too.
doing the good stuff you're doing.
All right, man. Love you, bro.
Love you. Take care. Peace.
Later.
Okay. That wraps it up. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to check back with us next Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep making and supporting independent films.